Howdy folks, and welcome to the Hillbilly Kitchen. Today we're making a ham casserole. Now I say ham casserole, but casseroles are kind of what you got mixed in with a cream sauce, and we did do a cream sauce in an earlier video. I'm going to link that in this video somewhere in here in case you want a little more detail on that, different ways that you can make your sauce. But casserole day used to be you'd clean the refrigerator out and everything in the refrigerator would go in the casserole. Well, folks have kind of got away from cooking like that, and everybody kind of makes a recipe a specific way. But given the times we're in, recipes are going to have to turn into more of a guide than as a definite gotta have everything in them. Because most of us now are shopping for sale items, and there are still a lot of shortages. Around here, we are back to shelves that are almost as empty as they were in 2020, you know, when this mess was all at its peak. And the shelves that aren't empty, y'all know what's going on with the prices, so sale items are kind of a must. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you two ways to make this casserole today, and I've actually got one already in the oven baking. And I'm going to give you a whole bunch of other substitutes so you can make this with what you have or what you can find on sale. And what I'm using in this one is I have some cube smoked ham here. And I got this package of ham on sale for $3. It's 20 ounces. If you have looked at the FDA guidelines recently, they are now saying that 1 ounce of meat, 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, or 1/4 of a cup of beans is a serving of protein. So according to the FDA, this package of ham will feed 20 people. Now, that's a little bit of a stretch, but we're getting to that point where we're going to have to stretch stuff. So you want some kind of meat in it, and you don't need a whole lot. Honestly, in a casserole, the 20-ounce package, I would make 3 casseroles out of it that would have anywhere from 4 to 6 servings in them. So you can feed a lot of people with this 20-ounce package of ham. You're going to need some vegetables. Now, you can use canned, you can use fresh, you can use frozen. If you're making a garden, you definitely want to use fresh. What I'm going to use in this one that I'm making is a bag of mixed vegetables, the California blend. It has broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots in it. Normally when I make this casserole, if I've got exactly what I want, I use broccoli and cauliflower in it. The one I've got in the oven, I used canned peas and corn in it. Frozen peas and carrots would be great in it, but I used peas and corn because I'm making it for someone who won't eat broccoli. Now, if you're making a casserole for your family, don't put something in it that they're not going to eat. If you've got people in your house that just absolutely refuse to eat broccoli, don't put it in there. Or if people absolutely refuse to eat peas in your house, don't make a casserole with peas, because it's going to go to waste, and we can't afford that right now. None of us can. And you don't want to waste your time cooking something for your family that they're not going to eat. So if you have a favorite casserole recipe that calls for something people don't eat, substitute it with something else. In this casserole, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, peas, corn, just about anything would work. You're going to need a filler ingredient, and you need a filler ingredient in about every casserole. I have 2 cups of cooked pasta here, and I'm just using macaroni noodles. Any size, shape, or form of pasta will work. You can also use potatoes. And if this is garden season and you want to cook up some of that zucchini or other kind of squash you've got coming out of your garden by the bushel loads, you can use that. If you're using your squash, though, squash has a lot more liquid in it than pasta or potatoes would have. So you're going to have to adjust your liquid, or you're going to have to cook your squash a little bit so that some of that liquid cooks out of it. So keep that in mind if you're using squash for your filler. The other thing you might want in a casserole is cheese. I've got about 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. Any cheese will work. And as far as our meat goes, you can substitute ham, this diced ham, a ham steak, maybe some pork loin. If you bought one of those big whole pork loins and you cooked it up just like a roast, chop some of that up and freeze it in small packages and use it in casseroles. If you've got a leftover pork chop or two, you could dice that up and throw it in here. You could even substitute chicken in this casserole or something else, just whatever you've got left over. A little ground beef would work in this even. Just set your vegetables to match what kind of meat you're using. It doesn't matter. Casseroles are what you got on hand. And the other thing you need for a casserole is you need the basic ingredients for your cream sauce that I was talking about. Now, I haven't been to the grocery store lately, so I was out of milk. I'm using a can of evaporated milk in this casserole. You can use powdered milk, evaporated milk, the shelf-stable milk, skim milk, whole milk, whatever you have. Any milk will work. And you can even use water if you are really on a tight budget and you need something to season it with. And I'm doing this super basic. I have a little onion powder, a little minced onion, and some salt and some pepper in here. That's all to taste. You can use garlic, you can use peppers, you can use fresh peppers, fresh onions, mushrooms, just all kind of stuff in it. Whatever you've got, whatever you like. But I wanted to keep it basic. Now the amount of salt is going to vary wildly. That's going to be the big ingredient that you're going to have to adjust for what you've got. If you're using canned vegetables and salty ham, you're not going to put much salt in it. If you're using fresh or frozen vegetables, you're going to have a little bit more salt in it. And of course, the milk, and you've got to have something to thicken it with. I've got about 2 tablespoons of flour here. Mine's a little heaping because this is 12 ounces, not a cup. And I'm not going to put any water in this, but if you need to make a bigger casserole, go ahead and add a can of water to it and add more flour. If you want it gluten-free, substitute a tablespoon of cornstarch for the flour and mix it in your milk, whatever kind of milk you're using. And you need a little bit of fat. I've got 2 tablespoons of butter. You can use butter, you can use bacon grease, you can use whatever. So I'm going to get my pan heating up here, and I'm going to kind of, wrong eye. And I'm going to kind of show you a trick that will help add flavor to this no matter what you're putting in it. If you put your ingredients in your skillet, and if you've got your cream sauce made ahead of time, like if you made a big batch of cream sauce on the weekend and you're just mixing stuff up, you don't have to put this in a skillet. But if you've got an oven-proof skillet, you don't have to take it out of the skillet if you decide to put it in the oven. And you don't even have to put it in the oven if you don't want to. We're going to talk about that too. But I'm going to start by melting my butter, which is how I would start if I was just making the cream sauce. Casseroles, you really don't need to be super careful about measuring in either. I mean, I don't think I ever saw a woman make a casserole and measure it until recently. And if you don't have the ingredients for a cream sauce, or you don't want to take the time to make a cream sauce, you can use a can of any kind of creamed soup in this. It's up to you. The canned cream soup cost about $2 a can now. I checked the other day. In this, I'm going to have about $1 worth of ham, about $1 in my milk, $1 in my vegetables. That's what I've got in both of them. About 50 cents worth of pasta. And the cheese, depending on how much you use and how much you paid for it, usually I would get this much cheese on sale for around $1.50. So, you can feed 6 people for $5 with this recipe. And you're going to be hard pressed to find many meals that you can make for that much. Okay, once your pan gets hot, go ahead and put whatever kind of meat you're using in there. And frying this ham a little bit, or whatever else you use, is gonna add flavor to it. And I'm just using about 1/3 of it, which would be 1/2 pound, close to that. If you need to feed a whole lot more people with this, dice the ham up, or whatever kind of meat you're using in it, in smaller pieces. And what it will do if you dice it up in smaller pieces is it will make it spread out more evenly in your casserole, in your filler ingredients and your vegetables, so that you get a little taste of that meat in every bite. So if you needed to make this casserole to feed 12 people and you only had that 1/2 pound of ham, dice it up much smaller so it spreads out more. Double your pasta, double your vegetables, double your cream sauce. Or in this case, just double your thickener and add water to it, because I've got this evaporated milk. But you want at least a cup of milk, probably 1.5 cups in this much. And it kind of, again, depends on how many people you're feeding. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add my spices in here. Now if you had fresh stuff, and this is just onion powder, dried onions, salt and pepper. If you had fresh onions, or you wanted to chop some celery or peppers or something up in here, add that now and let that cook. Because this is cooked, and I threw these in the microwave and went ahead and cooked them, which makes this a super quick dinner if you need something for a weeknight. I mean, if you're starting this from scratch on a weeknight, you can have your pasta boiling while you brown this, because it only takes about 10 minutes to boil pasta. And I am gonna do some videos, because I know we have a generation or two of folks where most of you have never been in a house where someone cooks. And we're gonna do some basic stuff like how to cook rice and how to cook pasta, so that it doesn't end up all stuck together and soggy. And you know, the biggest tip I can tell you though right now for cooking your pasta is make sure your water is at a full boil before you add it, and don't overcook it. If you overcook it, that's going to make it mushy, and if you add it to cold water, it's going to make it stick together like a paste. So make sure that water is completely boiling before you dump your pasta in it to cook it. Okay, now once this stuff browns just a little bit, that's going to put an incredible amount of flavor in your casserole. Whether you're using just onion powder, oh, I got to turn this down, sorry. Whether you're using just onion powder, or you're using fresh onions and fresh peppers and maybe a little fresh celery. Celery would give this a ton of flavor too, but that's another one of those flavors that if your family doesn't like it, don't use it. Once you get this brown, add your flour, because you do want to cook your flour a little bit before you add your milk. I didn't say that in one video, and folks commented that they could taste the raw flour when they finished cooking whatever gravy I think it was. You do want to cook flour a little anytime you put it in anything. But if you're going to put this in the oven, that's not overly important, because it will get cooked in the oven. Now, again, browning that flour though is going to add flavor to this. And you can see I've got stuff sticking on the bottom of my skillet. That's fine. That's flavor. You want that. And I've said a few times that biscuits and gravy got our grannies through some hard times, and biscuits and gravy will get us through this mess that's going on now. When I was growing up, we had biscuits and gravy in some form with almost every meal. And in the South, biscuits and gravy are kind of a staple at almost every meal still. That's what we're doing here. We're making gravy. And if you make your casserole, the flour and the milk, that's gravy. That's what it is. Folks can call it cream sauce or white sauce or add fancy names to it, but flour and milk makes gravy. If you have that gravy and some kind of bread with every meal, you don't have to have a whole lot of extra. The other stuff is just to fill you up and add a little flavor to it. So if you learn how to make a few quick breads, and you learn how to make gravy, and you learn how to make these casseroles and stuff, you'll get through this. Okay, now go ahead and pour your milk in all at once, whatever kind it is you're using. And like I said, I'll put the link up to that white sauce if you want to make just plain sauce. Maybe mix up a big old batch of it so you can make a few casseroles or something through the week and not have to go through all the steps every day. And you want to stir this until it thickens. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and add my pasta to it because that won't hurt a thing. And like I said, this is already cooked and it is kind of stuck together, but that's okay because when it mixes in this sauce, it's going to all separate back out. And if you're making a big pot of pasta and you want to cook it ahead of time so you've got it for them quick weeknight meals and you don't even want to take that 10 minutes to cook pasta, you can cook it ahead of time and just add a little bit of butter or olive oil or some kind of oil to it and toss it. Not much, just a tablespoon or so, and that'll keep it from sticking together. And you can take it out and add it into a casserole or whatever that you're cooking for dinner. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my vegetables. Now, if you're using fresh vegetables, you're going to want to cook them unless you're planning on putting this in the oven for a while. Now, if you're using fresh or frozen vegetables and you don't mind having the oven on for 30-45 minutes, you can put them in there raw and they'll cook in the oven. But like I said, I've got everything cooked here, so I went ahead and steamed my vegetables. Stir everything up there. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add most of my cheese. Well, half of it, I guess. Oh, put a good fistful in there and stir that up. Okay, I got to work quick. This stove here gets really hot, and if I don't, I'm going to have burned stuff here on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. I've got plenty of heat in my skillet, and I don't want it burned. Okay, you can see how all my cheese is melting up there just fine. Everything's good and hot. And like I said, everything is cooked. Now, once you've got it kind of combined, and you really don't have to put any more cheese in it, but I find cheese is one of them things that when you're eating on a budget, adding that extra cheese, it really makes the dishes that you're making a little more special. And it does add a lot of flavor to it, and especially if you're cooking for kids, they really like cheese, so, you know. Now, if you don't want to put this in the oven, you don't want to heat the house up, go ahead and dump you a little cheese on the top, however much you want. And you really only need about a cup of cheese to give this flavor and even give it enough cheese to string a little when you eat it. But I've put 2, put a lid on it, and let it sit there. Now, if you're not using a gas stove and an iron skillet, you might want to keep it on low for just a minute, but because I've got so much heat in the skillet and the gas stove is so hot, I'm turning mine off now. Just let it sit there until it melts. Or you can pop it in the oven under the broiler, or at this point, well, before you top it with the cheese, you could put it in a greased casserole dish, top it with the cheese, cover it with aluminum foil and put it in the fridge, and then pull it out on a weeknight. Make it ahead of time. And then on a weeknight, put it in the oven for 20-30 minutes until it's warm and brown. About 350 is what you want to bake it on. Now, if you're baking stuff and you don't particularly know the oven temperature or have an oven temperature, just about everything will bake at 350. There's some kind of breads that prefer a little bit hotter oven, but if you don't have a temperature, 350 will work for just about everything. Okay, now I've got one in the oven, like I said at the beginning, that I made pretty much exactly the same way, except I used 2 cans of vegetables in it. I used a can of corn and a can of peas. And I'm going to pull that one out and show you what it looks like if you put it in a casserole dish and put it in the oven. And then we're going to take the lid off of our skillet here and show you what it looks like if it never goes in the oven. Because like I said, you don't have to turn the oven on and heat the house up. Oh my goodness. Now that sure gives it a nice pretty brown top. It smells good. And you know, fresh vegetables of course are always better. Frozen is the second choice. But in these times, like I said, you can't always get exactly what you want. And buying stuff that's on sale will really help stretch your money right now. I looked this week just to kind of see what was on sale now, to see where prices were still at. You can still get the canned evaporated milk for less than $1. I think I saw it for 80 cents on sale at one of the grocery stores. You can still get pork loin for $2 a pound. I saw it on sale this week. And that same package of ham, that same grocery store has on sale again this week for $3. And like I said, you can easily make 3 of these casseroles that'll feed between 4 and 6 people out of that 1 pack of ham. Or you could make other stuff out of it, of course, omelets and ham salad and all kind of stuff. But, you know, it really is possible still to eat, still to feed your family without giving up a lot. And it is going to take us back into the kitchen. We're not going to be able to do it, you know, with the fast food stuff. But you can see, even not in the oven, that looks really, really good. Super cheesy, super rich. And, you know, between $5 and $6 a casserole. Not bad to feed your whole family. And you can use whatever's on sale, whatever you got. Now, normally I would let these sit for a while before I dipped them out. This one here just came out of the oven. But I kind of wanted to show you what it looked like with the different ingredients. You know, the canned vegetables versus the frozen, and the peas and the corn versus the broccoli and cauliflower and carrots. And you can see the peas and the corn in there. Make some biscuits with this, some kind of rolls. I know when we were kids, and still in a lot of places, just a slice of sandwich bread. I'm going to link some videos in here. Well, I didn't get enough of that out for you to even see it. I've got some quick dinner rolls that are made with mayonnaise as one of the ingredients. And I know mayonnaise is expensive, but if you need bread quick, that's a quick roll. And it has a different taste than a biscuit. Irish soda bread is pretty quick and pretty easy. That's a good one you can make. I've got 2 ingredient biscuits up, a 3 ingredient biscuit, you know, just a lot of different things. Biscuits are one of those things you got to make. You got to get a feel for the dough, just like yeast bread. But biscuits are much easier than yeast bread. But you can kind of see the difference. They both have plenty of color. They both have plenty of texture, plenty of variety in each forkful. And that's what a good casserole is. And something else you can do with a casserole, if you want to add a little more flavor to it, you can crumble some crackers up on top of it, something like a Ritz. You can use the French fried onions on the top of any casserole. You know, just anything like that. If you've got some crackers that maybe the kids left open that are a little bit stale, crumble them up and put them on the top of a casserole. It adds a little bit more to it, gives you a little bit more to eat, and you're not wasting that. I hope some of these money saving tips help feed your family, maybe help give you some hope that you're going to get through this. And I also want to leave you with Matthew 5:14 through 16. It says, "Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works, and glorify your Father which is in heaven." You may be someone's only chance to see God, and now is a time to really let your light shine. As Christians, we cannot let the If we let the Lord, or let the world see who our Lord is in us in these difficult times, they will truly see who the Lord is. And they will understand that our peace, our provision, and our joy is not dictated by circumstance, but has a far more substantial, powerful, real cause. And unless people see in you how real the Lord is, they're never going to know Him. So let people see God in you now. Let people see your joy. Don't let circumstances destroy that. We will get through this. Take care of each other. You know, maybe if you got a $5 or one of those, it wasn't $5, it was a $3 pack of ham. Maybe if you got one of those $3 packs of ham, you could make a couple of these $5 casseroles and share one with your neighbor if they're having a tough time. Because just one meal can make a big difference in somebody's life. I want to thank you so much for joining us in the Hillbilly Kitchen. If you haven't already, please don't forget to click like and subscribe before you leave. Take care of each other, check on each other, and until next time, remember to put God first.